Oh, and I see Lawrence is connecting. Is he your colleagues?
Yeah, he's my co-founder, but
Okay.
he will be just listening, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So, hi guys. This is Chris from DoraHacks, and today we are very happy to have Eugene Aseev, who are the CTO and co-founder of Chainstack, to join us. And he will be sharing radically simplified Polygon DApp development with Chainstack with us. And before he starts, please allow me to briefly introduce the background of this workshop. Right now, DoraHacks and Polygon are co-hosting the Polygon-Grants Hackathon. And this is actually the very first global Polygon-centric hackathon, but also the first Polygon quadratic funding grant, where you all use Matic token as the main voting and donation currency. We look forward to all the amazing new projects building on the Polygon network. So without further ado, let's welcome Eugene to start his workshop. And remember, guys, if you have any questions during this session, please feel free to ask in the YouTube and Bilibili chat room. And thanks for joining us today. Feel free to start when you're ready, Eugene.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks for having us today. And thanks everybody for joining this hackathon and also our workshop today. Today I would like to talk a little bit about node infrastructure and frameworks to build your DApps. We are Chainstack. We are a managed services platform to help developers, whether you are an individual developer or a startup or even an enterprise. We want to help you build applications and not think about the blockchain infrastructure at the same time, so that you can use a reliable platform to build your apps on. We've been a very early supporter of Polygon. We've been powering the public API for a long time already, and we also run old version of Polygon mainnet testnet explorers since long time as well. But our primary value proposition is that we provide reliable and scalable Polygon APIs and nodes to developers of all sizes. Just to briefly mention our offering, we support mobile testnet and mainnet of Polygon POS network. We support multiple cloud platforms and locations as well, which is quite unique in API world. We support locations like US, East, West, Europe, London, Frankfurt. We also support Singapore, so we cover the entire world, and you can basically choose where to access, where to create and access your API endpoints, where to create your dedicated nodes if you wish to build your apps and to run in production as well. So with our shared nodes, which are accessible in the regions that I mentioned, it's a very easy to access and very affordable way to get access to all Polygon networks that are available today. You can start absolutely for free and get quite generous quota of API calls to all these networks in these regions. We don't expose any rate limiting, throttling. You get a node in a couple of minutes. We support HTTP and WebSocket APIs, and we support all the namespaces that you need to start building on top of Polygon. What's also cool is that we support archive data. So for many DApps, archive data is a must because you need to access historical data on the chain, and we support archive mode for all Polygon nodes, starting from just $49 per month, which is the most affordable offering on the market for the archive data on the blockchain. We also support deploying your own dedicated nodes, whether it's a full node or archive node, which has been also quite a popular offering among the blockchain communities and ecosystems, because it's a very cost-efficient way of getting your own API, which then we can scale for you, we can load balance it for you. So for advanced customers, for big projects, we also offer complementary services for tailoring your own APIs, like white labeling as well. You can have your own API endpoint on your own domain, and you can have your own dedicated nodes in no time, because we have this technology called Bolt, which allows us to spin up new blockchain nodes in a few minutes time without waiting for them to sync, which is very tedious process for majority of blockchain nodes and networks. As I mentioned, dedicated nodes provide additional functionality to the API, to the shared APIs that we provide. You have unlimited requests, which is pretty cool, because you just pay for the storage and compute of the node, which doesn't change so frequently. You don't pay for requests, so you can send as many requests as you wish to our nodes. Some of the power customers of ours send a few billions of requests per month, which is not lightweight load for us. And we can handle this with ease. There's also a interesting feature of dedicated nodes that we provide debug and TX pool namespaces on them, so that you can trace your transactions and you can access the TX pool information for the dedicated nodes. Also, we provide GraphQL APIs on the dedicated nodes, which is an alternative way of getting information from the node to the traditional JSON RPC way, and then you can query information much more efficiently than on JSON RPC. Don't mix this with the Graph APIs. We are big supporters of the Graph, and a lot of Graph indexers are in our community and our users as well. But this GraphQL API is just for the node to get access to the on-chain data in the same data that you can get access through the JSON RPC, but through a different API method. One more unique feature of dedicated nodes is that you can deploy your own dedicated node in your own cloud or in your own hosting, and then we will manage it for you. So for instance, you have a lot of credits on AWS or GCP or Azure, and you want to leverage them, but you don't really want to get into the details of managing your own node and like upgrading it and handling multiple components like Bohr, Heimdall, and upgrading both of them, and so on and so forth. So we can just provide you an option to integrate your own cloud into our platform, so that we can deploy, so that then you can deploy dedicated Polygon nodes under your own hosting with no time, and then we will manage them for you as well. Another cool thing is that we support payment in cryptocurrencies on our top tier, and this has been quite popular among our customers. We also support payment on Polygon network, which is also quite unique. So we are welcoming. We support the protocol, and we also want to support payments, of course, on this protocol, because we want to dog food what we do ourselves, and we want to support as much as we can the network that we provide services for. And last but not least, we offer different tools on our marketplace. You can browse it, and you can see what's the variety of tools that we provide. There are certain development tools like Hardhat and Truffle and others that you can leverage through our marketplace. There's also tools like BlocksRoute that we offer on our top tiers that allow you to send and get transactions much faster than you would do just from the node API. So there are different add-ons that you can use on top of your node, starting from the development tools and up to certain applications that you can run together with a node that enhance the experience of interacting with the Polygon network. Let me show a short demo of how Chainstack looks like. So currently I'm in the UI in the console of Chainstack. I can see my project, which is called Public Blockchain Nodes. This is my own account. I use it a lot, and you can see that I have multiple networks here that are supported within the same platform. So basically, on Chainstack, you can get access to many different networks within the same interface and manage them through the same platform. So currently, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 networks here in the same project, different mainnets, testnets of different protocols, mostly EVM-based like Ethereum, Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, but also others like Tezos and Bitcoin. So on Polygon, I have a bunch of nodes here that I run for myself for different purposes. Like I have one for MetaMask. We also support Pocket Network, which is quite well-known protocol. I think these guys had a workshop as well yesterday or a day before, and they were talking about distributed API infrastructure. We support them a lot, and also a lot of Pocket Network node runners are our users, because you need to have access to some underlying node, and that's what we provide basically. So let's just deploy a new node and see how it works. So if I go to my project, I can join a network, and I can select the protocol. So I want to deploy a Polygon POS node, let's say on mainnet. What I can do is I can choose between shared and dedicated node, full and archive, and I can choose between different hosting options, being our own, Chainstack managed hosting or private hosting. And we also provide all sorts of documentation for this, so that you can basically choose wisely what kind of node do you need. And we provide helpers everywhere in the platform, so that it's easy to select the proper option. We also provide immediate pricing information, so that you can see how much you need to pay for different options. You can select the hosting provider and the region, as I mentioned. So currently we support US East and UK South for node deployment of Polygon full mainnet nodes. And let's call this node workshop node. On this screen, I have all the summary of my deployment, and I can see the pricing, which starts from 0 for 400 million requests. In my case, because I'm on the top tier plan, I will talk about pricing a bit later. And then you can just click join the network, and then the node will be deployed. Currently, it's pending. In a minute or so, it will be ready, and we can start using it. Meanwhile, I can guide you through some of the documentation that we have for developers. So we have quite extensive docs for all the protocols that we support, and also for the platform itself. So you can just go through all the docs here. They're quite straightforward, short and succinct. You can understand everything which is related to the platform. By the way, you can also use an API to access the platform, create nodes, delete nodes, etc., rotate keys. So you can basically do everything that I've just shown on the UI in a programmatic fashion. So on the operations side, we provide different docs around like what are the types of nodes you can deploy, what are the modes available, like what's the difference between full node and archive node. That's been one of the frequent questions. And like what are the tools available for you to interact with the node, starting from the blockchain client itself up to different tools like MetaMask and Truffle, how to use our nodes in Truffle, how to use our nodes with Web3.js, how to use HTTP API, WebSocket API, different frameworks. So we provide documentation for all popular tools and frameworks to integrate with Chainstack easily. We also provide tutorials. So for Polygon, we have quite interesting tutorial, which is about bridging ERC20 from Ethereum to Polygon POS network. And we actually provide a full-fledged tutorial on how to deploy your own contracts to do this on mainnet of Ethereum and Polygon, which is pretty cool. I recommend you to try it out. It's quite interesting to understand how Polygon works, how contracts are being written for Polygon network and so on. So quite cool tutorial. We also provide like general information about the network with links to the architecture for each protocol. So in case of Polygon, we provide explanation of what are the layers that exist in Polygon network, like Ethereum layer, Heimdall, Borg, and so on. So while we were looking into the docs, we see that our node has been deployed. We see today's date, and we can drill into the node and see how it looks like. Basically, we see all the information about the node, like what's the mode of the node, like full archive, who was the creator, where is it hosted, which region, what are the API namespaces available, which version of the client we're running. What is also quite unique, we provide a couple of ways of authentication to the node. So we provide traditional key-based authentication that people used to. So you just basically need a URL to a node. We also provide more advanced authentication methods like basic authentication that is mostly used on the backend side of the apps, so that you don't reveal any keys in the host name of the node. You just keep them private and you authenticate in the HTTP headers section. So that's it. Basically, you have a couple of endpoints, HTTPS endpoint, a WebSocket endpoint. If you have a dedicated node, you would also have a GraphQL endpoint, as I mentioned, for the GraphQL API access. And that's it. So you can start right away in a couple of minutes time building on Polygon, any network, whether you want to use it on the front end or on the back end, with all the tools described in the documentation section. We also have quite interesting support portal with a lot of hints and articles around EVM-based chains in particular. So let's say if you search for TX pool articles, you will find some interesting solutions, like for instance, how to subscribe to global pending transactions with some code snippets and so on. So whenever you have a question how to do certain thing, you can just search in the support portal or in the docs, and most likely you will find what you're looking for in both of these resources. So we provide quite a lot of documentation around different things, especially for EVM-based chains. We also have quite advanced blog where we have articles, including technical articles on like how to access TX pool in different ways, how to get token balances, for instance, for a number of accounts, which also contains code snippets and links to GitHub repo where we try to open source as much as we can. And it even contains like comparison of how to use GraphQL versus just normal Web3, batch request versus Etherplex, a multiple smart contract library. So we also write quite a lot of technical content in our blog for developers to explain what is the best way to build on different blockchains, in particular EVM-based blockchains like Polygon. As for our services pricing, as I mentioned, we have a totally free developer plan, which has 3 million monthly requests included, which is quite generous allocation for a totally free plan. We have other plans as well with different allocations for requests. You can of course use as many requests as you want. You will just pay after the quota has been exceeded by request, which is also quite fairly priced. So let's say if you stay on a growth plan and you send more than like 3,000 requests, you send like 12,000 requests on the growth plan, you just pay $40 for this request. So it's pretty scalable pricing. You just pay for what you use. We have very transparent pricing, and we don't overcharge you for anything. Basically, you can play with the pricing model in the calculator. So let's say if you want to run a Polygon node, we supported a dedicated node on the business plan, and it will cost you just $400, and it includes unlimited requests to the node. So you don't have to think about, okay, I'm exceeding some quota or something. You can just run a node and forget about everything else. And this is a fixed pricing. We also explain you how it works. You can also run dedicated node for 1 week if you want, or for 1 day. Our billing is per hour, so you don't need to care about, okay, I need to commit to run this node for like 1 year or something. So everything is pay per use, which is pretty cool. We have distributed infrastructure, as I mentioned, which is allocated across multiple clouds. We support new clouds all the time. So we'll be releasing one more cloud support in the coming week. And it will be primarily supporting Polygon since the first launch of this new cloud. And yeah, the rest you can just see yourself on the pricing page, or try out the platform yourself by going to console.chainstack.com. As a sponsorship package for this hackathon, we provide a promotional 3 months free growth plan. So if you're interested, please go into our Discord channel, into Sponsor Chainstack channel, and then just reach out to Jensen, and he will be happy to extend this offer to you. And you can start building and scaling on Polygon right away without having to think about your API endpoints for the nodes or anything like that. I think that's all I wanted to share for tonight. If anybody have any questions, I will be happy to cover them.
Oh, great! Thanks for sharing, Eugene. Yeah, I mean, I will first to check if anybody have some questions. Not yet. Yeah. So yeah, actually, I have a few questions for you. So
Sure.
the first, I see that you guys are collaborating with some big names like Amazon and Google, Microsoft. So do you guys think like it is a good way, because recently we people are keep talking about something like crypto native. So do you think collaborating with Amazon or those like Web2 big giants will be like will make some problem for you guys in the future to build infrastructure and collaborating with the some crypto native projects?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and that's exactly the reason why we started being multi-cloud since the beginning. So we don't rely on any single cloud. So we support 4 different hosting providers today in multiple locations, and we are extending these locations, and we are also supporting smaller cloud providers as well, not only the giants. This is one. We started like that since the beginning of Chainstack, so we always wanted to be multi-cloud for this particular reason. We don't want to rely only on one single cloud provider, and if it goes down, we will have a problem, or if it decides not to support blockchain, because blockchain is competitive to Web2 or something. So that's why we supported multiple cloud providers. That's why we support private hosting setups as well, so that if you run a cluster of nodes on on your own on-premises hosting, we will be happy to manage the nodes on this cluster for you as well. So this has been in our strategy since day one. So we always wanted to be multi-cloud, multi-hosting, supporting different options for our users. The second thing is that I think that it's worth mentioning that even though a blockchain is introducing new paradigm, we still rely on these cloud giants a lot. And that's why we want to be mindful about this. For instance, our customers, some of the particular groups like traders, for instance, they run their like trading software in, let's say, Amazon in particular regions. And as you know, in trading, the biggest thing is latency. So we want to minimize latency for them. And let's say they're asking for particular locations for the nodes so that we can run as close to their software as possible. So we are being very realistic about people running software today. Either we want it or not, it's still being run on cloud providers, and on bigger cloud providers as well as smaller cloud providers. So I think it's just being reality, and we want to cater our community, our customer base as much as we can. So that's why we support all these hosting providers, because there are different needs of different builders towards like locations as well as particular hosting providers. So we want to extend the reach. We are really open towards opening new locations or even supporting new hosting providers as well as decentralized clouds as well. So that's something that we will be looking into in the nearest future.
Absolutely, fantastic. Yeah, I mean that sounds pretty decent, because rather than just saying some fancy words and can do something that actually helpful. I think the theory like you guys doing right now is more practical and can bring the actual effect to the I mean Web3. Yeah, I definitely like it very much.
Yeah.
And yeah, another question will be more general, I guess. So do you guys have any like future big plan, maybe collaborations with some projects that exciting, or whatever you guys are trying to do in the future for the next step?
Probably one of the exciting projects that we have currently for the developer community, especially on Polygon, is that we are, as you see here, I share my screen. We have one of the customers of ours is quite a well-known company called The Graph, which is doing a lot of work on improving the API experience on the blockchain networks, because as we all know, just going directly to the node to read data is not always practical. So for different heavy use scenarios, let's say you want to do an analytics or something like that, you really want to reindex the data from the chain to something, some data structure that is more practical for this particular use. So we will be launching this week, and this will be probably some short sneak preview, the complete automation for the graph node and the graph stack deployment that we worked on for the last few months, and which allows you to deploy your own the graph node on any cloud. We support all 3 big clouds, and basically you can deploy your own the graph node within a few command line calls, and we provide README for all that, so you can just go one by one. We'll be announcing this on the Graph forum later this week, and this will allow developers of all kinds to deploy their own the Graph nodes and connect them to the nodes and index their own data so that their backends will be much more efficient. So later on, what we plan to do is we plan to launch a managed Graph hosting. So in the same way we run nodes today for our customers and we provide APIs, we plan to run like subgraph hosting. So whenever you have a subgraph, you can deploy it on Chainstack without relying on the centralized hosted graph service. And if you don't want to pay, for instance, fees on the graph network itself, and you just need your own subgraph hosting, will also allow this. So this introduces multiple ways to use the graph. So you can use a hosted service, you can use the graph network, you can use your own hosted version of the graph tooling. So this is probably the most exciting part for the developers that we have as of today. And as I mentioned, we'll be launching this tooling this week on the Graph Forum. So please, please keep in mind and check out the Graph Forums this week.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I think, I mean, that would be, if there's no more questions, that will be it for today. Really appreciate this amazing, wonderful workshop, which hosted by the Eugene. I believe the session could be super helpful for all the developers who want to build on whatever Polygon or other Web3. So really appreciate it, and definitely remember to check the next co-hosting from Chainstack and the Graph. I mean, tomorrow we will have another workshop hosted by the Carson Farmer, who work for Filecoin, and introducing us about the Filecoin bridge. If you guys don't follow us on YouTube and Bilibili, make sure you do that so you won't miss out any of the upcoming workshop like today, which is amazing. And hope you guys all have a great day, and good luck with your guys building on the Polygon networks. And thanks again, Eugene, for this amazing workshop. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris, for hosting us. Cheers.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks, Lauren, for joining us.
Good luck, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.